Uh, there is no name to this podcast yet. Uh, I want to thank you for your time because you have a very interesting story and you have a lot of life experience, right? And I'm not calling you old,
Thank you.
right? Like you said, I was before.
Gracious.
Gracious, that's one word I've never heard about me. Said about me. Femi's gracious. Nah.
There's no G in Femi for gracious.
Nah, not at all. But you do have a very interesting story, right? We've talked at comedy clubs and bars, and you've casually brought up in conversation that you've worked as a sex worker.
Yeah.
And I just want to hear your story,
Okay.
and I want you to tell me whatever you feel comfortable with. And
Okay.
and at the end of this podcast, if you don't feel comfortable with any of this footage getting distributed to the world,
Sure.
I'll just delete it, right?
I want to say for the record that I think Femi is like a I think you're a solid dude. I trust your judgment. I don't I'm not someone who likes being on camera and such. Otherwise, I'd be an OnlyFans model.
We can tell by the shasty out here looking like a career criminal.
But I want to support like budding podcaster. You're not even a budding podcaster, but yeah,
We're starting,
hey,
but
what? So, but
so you're from Oakland, right?
no, I'm from. Yeah, just read that. I grew up in. I'm from California.
Okay.
I grew up in the Bay. In the Bay Area.
Okay.
A young nerd. Yeah.
And as we were talking about before, like you went to college.
Yes, hence the nerd.
You got a master's degree in journalism.
No, I have a bachelor's in journalism and a master's in library. They used to call it library and information science, but they call it library and information studies.
So you're like highly educated, right?
Yeah.
Like on paper,
Yeah.
like you're accredited.
Yes.
You know,
Technically, if you work at sorry to interrupt, but if you see someone at a library,
yeah,
we kind of call like all the people who help at the desk and stuff. They're like for all intents and purposes, they're librarians. Yeah, but technically, you have to have a this MLIS degree to be like the actual like librarian position.
wow.
But that being said, it's a good city job. If you can get any job at the library, I recommend it.
Fuck yeah.
Shelver, you're gonna get like more than Dick's pays.
You know,
And I mean Dick's Burgers.
yeah, Dewey Decimal System and shit, son.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I just want to know your story and like how you started. If you feel comfortable talking about that.
How I started in sex work?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know, we all need money.
Okay.
I like didn't think I didn't really ever I really never actually really never saw myself in sex work. I was very shy. Like I've always liked people, but I've been always been shy.
Absolutely.
You know, maybe just poorly socialized. I don't know. Child of divorce. I don't know. It's not maybe that deep, but the Bay Area public schools, they're harsh.
Yeah.
Harsh. I mean, just not like, my dad, we would get our shoes from Payless and stuff. And kids would be like, you have Payless shoes.
Oh yeah, kids are ruthless.
They're so mean.
They're just tiny sociopaths.
They are
walking
literally
around, waiting to cut you down for who you are.
I know. That's why it's so terrifying when you find out like someone under 25 is smoking meth or something.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Smoking meth is an activity you get bullied into.
That's horrific.
Nobody wakes up and is like, you know what? I want to smoke a bowl of meth.
I think you're right. Although, thinking back, I did the first time I smoked weed, I was bullied into it. I was literally peer pressured into it.
I had no peer pressure.
And
for
that's
the
how
time
I became a prostitute.
Reefer madness. It's like I started smoking sour D, and then I wanted some dick. The rest is history.
Then I was rimming sherm, boofing heroin off of.
Yeah, man, streetwise.
Oh, yeah, have you seen that documentary?
It's amazing. It's
I saw that in journalism school at San Francisco State, 1984. Mary Ellen Mark.
yeah, a lot of those people died.
Yeah, but Tiny is still around.
That's the fat white lady, right?
Well, she used to be tiny. Has her.
And then she got big.
Well, I mean, obviously,
She got like 6 different kids.
she was so cute. But could you like? It was really interesting how lackadaisical the. I mean, the style was. It was just like.
Yeah, it's just like nobody cared. Everybody dressed up like they were homeless.
But that being said, as someone who works on Aurora, I do dress rather lackadaisically. Like you might find me at the comedy club,
Yeah.
and then I'm a barge down there in the same shit. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I find that to be like I might have skipped a question, but you asked how I got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I never thought I was gonna do that. First time it was even propositioned to me. I told you.
You said no.
Well, yeah, and it was like
You had to go work at Pete's
I
Coffee.
was working at Pete's Coffee. It was like 7 a.m. That was crazy. I used to like get to work at like 5:45 in the morning. You know, it was like that's what I gotta say. A lot of these like day jobs we do or night jobs are. I maybe it's the duration of the shift that makes it just like
unbearable.
I've never seen a clock move slower than when I worked at a Whole Foods.
Fuck yeah.
Oh my motherfucking god.
So
can I cuss?
Yeah, please. So you started off in Vancouver, BC.
Yeah. I didn't tell you how that happened. Like I got married.
Okay.
To a Canadian. Eh?
Hey. Canadians.
The more advanced is hey?
Hey,
yeah. And you know, I was living there. That's where I got my librarian degree.
Okay.
So journalism degree. I worked at a newspaper. It was like movie, like working for the newspaper. But it was stressful. It was so stressful. And Canada. Yeah, I got married. I got married at the courthouse in Oakland. And I went.
You just moved to Canada with the
papers? Yeah, I brought my husband to work. I was like, this is my new this.
I'll figure it out as we go. Yeah, I'll bleep it. I'll bleep it. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to figure out how I can edit this footage to bleep out names, right? If we can.
Yeah.
And if I can, I won't post it. And then but it is what it is. Microphone, please.
Hi.
Microphone etiquette.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I didn't mean to be.
We won't. I'll edit this footage, right?
I hope, inshallah.
Or I'll contact somebody that'll edit this footage, and then from there, I'll send you a copy, and then if you watch the copy and you like it,
I trust you. I don't even want to watch it. I just like if I say a name, there's got to be a way.
We'll figure it out. So
it's difficult not to sometimes. It's so many.
Yeah, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable about anything.
I just don't want certain names in there.
I promise. I will. I will leave the names undisclosed. So you started off with your husband. Let's not use this. Let's not use his name, Jasmine.
So I'll put it this way: I eloped.
Yeah.
Like I fucking eloped. Like I moved to Canada. It was a guy I met. Like I used to be like a punk rocker.
Okay.
Like when I was a teenager. That's how I got. Like you see me without my sweat.
Yeah.
I have a lot of tattoos. As a teenager and stuff, I was like really into going to like these punk shows and stuff, and that's how I met my ex-husband. He was like, he was in a band, and then we met, and then like years later, when neither of us was even into that music anymore, we
start dating.
Yeah, and then yada yada.
Got married.
To Canada, yeah. I quit the newspaper, everything. So up there, I couldn't work. and that was actually fine. Like his family made money, but it felt like that's the first time in my life I didn't work. Like I moved out when I was 17,
Hmm.
from my one of my parents' houses.
So you weren't working at the time. You
When
and when you're in Canada,
yeah,
right?
initially, yeah,
Initially,
yeah, and
so
that's
you
when I kind of got the idea. I was like, I feel like I need to be doing something.
and then just like sex work was essentially the only option because you couldn't legally work in Canada.
Yeah, it was like for me the most, but he was like, well, no, like but it was like a kind of like a germ in my head. It was like
Yeah,
permeating. It was germinating
germinating. Yeah.
in my head, and yeah, and then like he was like my ex. So the thing is, like, with all respect to him, like he's like an absolutely amazing man. As far as I know, he's with someone. I don't know, like it's not even
He's happy.
he's happy. Let me put it this way: couples experiment at times. Like sometimes when you have like an insane, amazing energy between two people, it like compels you to experiment,
Okay.
and experiments have outcomes you don't always know. You know?
So you and him were experimenting at the time,
Yeah.
and then somewhere down the line, you're just like, I need to make my own money.
Yeah.
Is that
Kind of. And not to interrupt, but yes, you kind of like you kind of made me reminded me of it. Is like because I have to emphasize this, like as much as like I think with like basically it wasn't like my ex how do I put this? He did not want me to do sex work.
so? Did you? How do I? How
He
do I?
didn't pit me out. That's definitely for that. That's for first.
Perfect.
And he also was not like some cuckold of like, oh, I want other men to have you type thing.
And thank you for disclosing that for the podcast. That's good.
I'm
It's
just saying, like he had a big dick too,
a lot of people have big
and
dicks.
I was in love with him.
Yeah. So
But experimentations, you know.
yeah, when you first entered into sex work, were you were what you would classify as like a
Yeah.
renegade? Like you're working for yourself?
Yeah, although, so when I first got into it in Canada,
Hmm.
it was like the laws, well, and now I guess it's been like, well, I left Canada over 7 years ago.
Okay.
Um, but at that point, I mean, I'm not going to say it was like, I can't speak on the exact laws, but basically, so have you ever been up there to like Vancouver?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like Granville Street?
I don't remember the name of the streets up there,
Yeah, fair.
but
It's all the what do you call all those big glass towers.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're like
That's
downtown Vancouver.
yeah. I didn't live down there, but I had a library job down there. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So basically, here's what happened. I moved to Canada. Sorry if I meander. It's just like
Yeah.
such a fog of war or not war. Fog
It's
of
it's an experience.
yeah.
So
It's crazy. It's like an inevitable trauma dump. It's just so many layers on layers of.
so you initially were working at a library.
Well, no, not
So you
quite.
weren't working. You entered into sex work.
I was in Canada. Those were some of the best years of my life. I'm gonna tell you, like honestly. And then me and my ex, like we were so into each other. We're like, we should go to some swingers parties. And this is why I emphasize it was not a cuck thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was fucking bitches too, like
Yeah,
hot
you're just
bitches.
polyamorous.
Yeah, but in a more limited scope. Like
Okay.
yeah. And now I realize yeah, like but that is what basically like I had never been in any situation of like more than one other person sexually or like even like cuz like I said I was like in the punk I was a little punk. Those guys like they didn't like care if you shave your legs and shit. It was all about like like I'm kind of simplifying it,
They were
but
like, Harry is
or
good.
it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
No nair. No nair, don't
Down
care.
with the patriarchy. No, I remember nairing my legs when I was like, the first time I shaved my legs, I wrote my mom a letter. It was like in 5th grade.
That's so fucking corny.
I know. I was 5th grade. Before class, I was like, "Here, mom." It was the letter. Imagine you're me,
Yeah.
or imagine you're my mom.
I'd be like,
Dear mom, the other kids at school are starting to notice my leg hair.
That's
And
crazy.
some of my friends, they're
That's why I can never be a mother because I'll say that one word every day. Okay, cool. But so you're going to these sex clubs in Canada.
Oh yeah, those. Have you ever seen like Always Sunny? Like when they went to the sex club.
Yeah.
It was so.
With P Diddy.
Huh?
It was P Diddy was in that episode, right?
What? He was in Always Sunny.
Yeah.
I have. See,
So, anyways,
but Danny DeVito, all I remember is when they're at the snack table. That's what I was thinking of.
so you went to these sex clubs.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
Oh yeah. Oh
And then
yeah.
how do you transition from going to a sex club to being like a sex worker out in the street?
Yeah, I can tell you. So for me, it was like the comfortability, because like I said, with me and my husband, in many ways, to a point, it actually was like a cool, very much like, I mean, it was freaky as fuck and like weird as fuck in retrospect. But it was
Okay.
like very much like a mutual endeavor. Like we loved each other. Like we went to this one time. We met this couple off Craigslist in Burnaby, Canada, and like, oh, I was wearing these like pull up stockings, and we met the couple, and like he was like, yeah. It's my younger wife. She's Asian, and she'll come meet you guys at the front of the apartment complex.
Dog.
This woman with wet hair, she looked so just like forlorn, like, and she's like she comes around the corner and just like, and this is like the beginning of our kind of like, I don't think we'd been even to like a swingers party at that point. And this is all, I'm bringing it up because it's like a deep context. Like,
Yeah.
it struck me. I was like, she does not seem into this. So we get to the door, and the dude, he looked like, my ex husband was like, he looked like Just for Men, like a mustache.
Oh, so
He
it's
was
just
like
like
this big pot bellied, old, like, he looked like a guy on some TV show. I can't think of it.
so you had that
We
experience
ran away.
and you ran away.
Yeah. And from that, we decided to go to like curated sex parties. That's how that happened. And then basically, I will say that like at once it allowed me an opportunity to like dress up and feel like, I was like, oh, I can feel comfortable. Like when I was young, I was so shy.
Yeah.
And so it was cool to have like my partner, my husband. I never called him my partner, but like my husband, who was like validating he really like helped like I like validate how I felt sexually and stuff. Like he made me feel attractive. He'd be like, "You're my dream woman," and shit. And then we would go to these parties, and I'm like, fuck. After a while, I'm like, it was like the thrill of it. Like, I think the first time was we went to this, and I don't want to get all into it because
It's all good. You don't have to.
But well, more of like, I don't want to take all night, but like the first, bro, we went to some
It was nuts.
It was nuts. And I was like, I might as well make money off this.
So you're just going to these sex parties, having a fun time, and then you're like, yo, I can just monetize off of this.
But I have to say, like, without my ex, because I don't want to make it like, oh, he was some impotent cock. Like,
No.
He was like, well, like,
Y'all were just
mentally everything. He was so like, but it was like without that combination, he kind of like empowered. He kind of like activated or validated my confidence. Like, I wouldn't have felt comfortable like when I was walking to Pete's Coffee.
Yeah.
When the woman was like, "Hey, we need a snow bunny for our team, and here, put this one piece on." I would have been like,
Jesus Christ.
You know what I'm saying? So, but now,
And then from those experiences at the sex party, you're like, I can make money off of this independently. I might as well. I can't work.
well, I was like, if someone's gonna touch me, they're gonna fucking pay me.
Yeah, and like the government in Canada wasn't allowing you to work.
No, but I mean, that's fine. That was I had the I had the most cush immigration experience,
Fuck yeah.
but I think that it was like, and I will say, by the time I was doing sex work, I was actually, I think, I was legally able to work. Yeah, but it was like the idea, and I know that probably sounds hella like you idiot
No,
or
no, no. There's no
whatever.
judgment here.
Yeah,
I'm just
well,
listening.
and other people, they'll be like, "Why would you?" But
Hey, fuck them.
core phobia. Check yourself. You sex worker exclusionary radical feminists. Swerfs down.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so you're
It was, you know what I'm saying? It was just like I don't want to say a perfect storm.
yeah, like
I mean,
you,
I used to take a mile route away from school just because these two kids used to call me Hanson on the way to
you.
school.
Damn, I'm
I
sorry.
was so shy.
Fuck.
I never thought I'd be out there. Anyway,
But
you know what I mean?
like yeah, like you came to a crossroads
Yeah.
and you made a decision.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. Like no judgment whatsoever, but like there was a decision made
like with the money.
with the money
Yeah,
and the
that
money
part.
and the sex
first
work.
time I did that, I
What
decided.
what was your first experience like with the trick? If you feel comfortable talking about that.
I'll tell you, it's all good. I know there's a lot of horror phobes out there, but
Yeah.
you're not one of them. I don't care. It's more probably my meandering storytelling, but yeah, it was in Canada, and I can't remember the website, but we would I would post my ad. I
Yeah.
was pretty lazy with the pictures too. I just be like, well, like booty shot,
Absolutely.
whatever. And yeah, the guy, he was like, a lot of the clientele in Canada were like downtown, like off Granville Street. I can't think the name of that neighborhood. But yeah, a lot of condos.
And who was the first trick?
He was and I saw him another time and I was like, "You again." He actually was like this. You know what he said to me that sketched me out?
What?
He was like, and he told me this like after the fact. He's like, "I could tell by your fingernails that you weren't like, a smoking girl."
What the fuck? Oh, like cigarettes
No,
or smoking? What the fuck is a smoking girl?
like crack or like meth.
Oh, that's fucking nuts.
Well, yeah. It
That's
also told me that he keeps. I just. He wanted to like do it raw.
no,
Oh
no,
no. Oh no. Oh no no
no,
no.
no, no, no.
But and we did not. But I will say this. Canadian money is like plastic.
Yeah,
Oh, even though I'd been there for like a good 3.5 years, I went in the bathroom. I think I got like 300, 350 off the guy. Yeah.
that's
And
good money. $350.
now you see. But yeah, if you want to join Jasmine's cartel of no, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna I would never be a pimp. But
We do
yeah,
not.
I was in
Oh my bad. We do not promote sex work on this podcast.
no.
We do not persecute sex work on this podcast.
We do not have sex on this podcast.
We are just telling stories.
Yeah, it's just people telling stories.
So it was so overall. Was it a positive experience, a negative experience?
Well, after I went in the bathroom, I was like, "Is this real?" Because I was literally like, it was like the combination. Like if my first trick had been in the U.S., I'd be like, "Oh, this is undoubtedly real money. It's dirty ass, filmy." But so no, what was the question about it?
So we're going through the sequence of events.
Yeah.
So you went to these sex clubs.
Oh,
You felt sexually liberated, for lack of a
To a
better
point,
to
yeah.
lack of better words,
Wearing outfits and
wearing
shit,
outfits.
little onesies and dressing like a little sexy angel and shit.
And then one day you went on like a website similar to Craigslist or Backpage when
Yeah,
they were offering
yeah,
services like that,
yeah,
and you had sex with your first trick,
yeah,
right?
yeah. He put
And
his
and he paid you like $400 Canadian, three
yeah,
fifty Canadian,
yeah.
and you're like, I could get used to this,
Absolutely. I
and
mean, yeah.
and and you
Yeah.
did that for how long in Canada? How long were you doing sex work in Canada?
So I was doing it in conjunction with working in like administrative work and going and then eventually going to in my master's program.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Although now when I think of the timeline, it's possible I was doing my master's as well. Like when I like maybe I was doing the we were definitely doing the is this mask like in the way?
No, you're good.
Okay. We were definitely doing the swingers parties by the time I started library school, but then the sex work, I think I was in library school too.
Hell yeah.
And then the question was, yeah, I was working. I remember like being at my office job and getting like a text from like a trick, like, well, oh, maybe you want to know about some of the different types of
Did
people, or
did you
go
feel
ahead.
like that dual life was like exciting or fun?
Yeah, it was like it was both, cause like in some ways it was very alienating because it
Yeah,
was like
obviously.
yeah, it was like exciting, but it was like it sucks when like I mean a lot of my friends are very open minded, but that's also
It's not a detail you'd feel comfortable like sharing.
yeah.
If you're like around a bunch of college educated people.
Well, I think there's a lot of I don't know that like it's necessarily like whether they're college educated or not. I think even like around like any person, like the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
average
yeah.
but like straight up like that's what's alienating about it is like it's like you have references to your life when you hear certain things. It was like, oh shit, when you want to relate, you don't want to bring up some heavy shit. Like,
Absolutely.
oh, that reminds me of the time, like, like maybe like I don't know, like a waitress spilled ketchup on her dress, and like that reminds me of when like a guy cummed on me in the back of his car on Aurora, and
Fuck.
then I mean I don't know,
Yeah, yeah. It's like just hearing it myself.
it's just yeah.
Fuck. So how long were you doing sex work in Canada,
Yeah.
and what was that experience like compared to
Oh.
sex work in the States?
Okay. So, and of course, I can only speak to my own experience about anything.
Yes.
Um, for me, and I don't know. Again, like in that same vein, I don't know. I kind of feel. I kind of want to say like my experience. Whatever. My experience is my experience. But I will say that like kind of like speaking to what you were talking about earlier, like entering into that to the point where like the money didn't even look real aside from it being Canadian like
Yeah.
it just was like unbelievable to me because like I first of all I never thought I'd do that and not even like
How long were you doing it for in Canada?
mm, I don't know there was a point where I had like a lot of money in my sock drawer like thousands
Thousands. That's dope.
but
The money.
I've always had an issue of being a humanitarian.
Yeah.
I'd get drunk, like I'd have to drink like champagne to go fuck these like nasty old fucking like New Jersey men who were in Vancouver for the holiday, and then like I'd get out the hotel, I'd see some like home bum with his three-legged dog, and be like, "You're from Manitoba? Take
Here's
this $50.
dollars. Yeah.
I made 500. All I had to do was rim out."
Woo.
I remember this old guy. He goes, and I said no for the record, in case, just so you know.
Yeah.
He said, "I want you to." He had a penis pump, and he's like, "I want you to suck on my nipple and call me and say yes, I'm your nursey or some shit like that."
That's
So yeah, I
fucking.
was doing that for like I didn't do that for the record. That was like
But that
that was
just
actually my first limit. I was like,
it's like you're like, nah, I don't.
if
I
your
don't.
soul curdles at the thought, just don't do it.
Yeah. So you were doing it for a couple years out there, and
And it ruined my marriage because it was just like
The
uh
boundaries changed,
absolute,
and
even within the weird,
your husband wasn't
yes,
comfortable with it, and like rightfully so, because like
yeah.
it's like one thing to be in a polyamorous relationship,
Yeah,
but it's another thing to like implement sex work into that dynamic, and you
yes.
can't be mad at the other person for not feeling comfortable with it.
And it wasn't even, and that's the to his credit too. It was like, honestly, that's why I come back to, like, we were experimenting.
Yeah,
Like, it was, we really love each other or loved each other, whatever. But it was just like
it just wasn't working.
I couldn't control. I think I had less emotional kind of regulation than him. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
uh, that's not my neighbor.
it's all good.
We'll keep talking. Yeah, I but basically he,
So so after you guys broke up, right?
yeah, basically I left him. Can I tell you why I left him?
If you feel comfortable,
Out of respect for him as a man.
that's very nice of you.
I mean,
Like you knew that,
that
like
was. I mean, it
you knew
was.
his limitations.
Well, it was my limitations too. I don't want to be with like a man who's.
Hurt.
I don't want to hurt a man. It
Yeah.
was. We were just in. It was
You guys were veering off into two different paths, and it just
even
was what it
without
was.
the cuck parties. I don't want to mean a lot of
Sex
us.
work, sex parties, sex
Sex
parties.
parties, Canadian swinger parties. I mean, that's a whole other episode. Again, he was not a dick in the cage type cuck. Like, it wasn't even like that because I seen them in the back of sex shops.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
the situation ran its course.
It ran its
It
course.
was what it
I
was.
felt that I was manipulating the situation because I had all these because at that point it wasn't like now where it's like there's like, oh, 304 IG, like,
Yeah,
look, we're on, and I'm not even going into like the generations of it or the ages, because like even if it was like it had just started now, I found that a little like, I don't mean to say like go get your shit. Whatever people want to promote, I'm not online like that.
it's all good.
For me, it's the rigmarole.
Yeah, it was just like you didn't want to work.
I'm tired. I don't want to deal with it.
You didn't want to work at like a job that felt unfulfilling. Like you just weren't.
Sex work?
No, not sex work.
Oh no,
Like your 9 to 5.
I'd rather do a real job.
Oh,
It's just that it's unfulfilling in pay.
yeah,
I mean,
unfulfilling
how do
is.
I manage an office for 6 years and I don't crack $30?
Yeah, it just like
And I'm managing like over a dozen elderly volunteers.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was just like it was just the opportunity in sex work.
Now
It
I
just
sound ageist.
yeah, the opportunity in sex work was just better
Well,
at the time.
yeah, and I'll put it this way: it's kind of like once you've done it, once you've like whatever the arrangement, and again, I only speak for myself, but once I did it one time, it was like I knew that was always an option, but there was like the part of like, I wasn't like some like young, like I wasn't like
Yeah,
comfortable like that, and then even by the time I was like, it's just kind of like weird to conceive of it.
yeah.
But then once you do it, it's
You
just
just
like
do it.
you realize, like, oh,
So after the relationship ends,
yeah,
you move back to the States. Where did you go?
yes. And I went to Portland.
And then you started doing sex work in Portland.
Yes, and
And how was it? How was the experience doing
oh,
sex work in the States compared to Canada?
oh, well, I have to say, like, my experience, I don't think the contrast of my experience is like a fair contrast to like the
I
two countries. No, well, I don't mean that you are contrasting it, but more like my situation was different.
okay.
When I moved to Portland, I didn't know I was gonna do sex work. Like, that wasn't my plan. Like,
Okay. And then what transpired? What situations transpired for
yeah.
you to become a sex worker domestically?
Yeah, well, I moved. If you ever divorce your husband, make sure you get some money out of it. Don't be stupid. I was like, I left him. I'm not gonna ask for any money, even though his parents are rich as fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, so I kind of like turned myself out in that regard. I
Okay.
mean, seriously, and Yeah, I
So
moved. Huh?
so you were doing it for like just to survive when
Yeah,
you
yeah. But when I moved to Portland, I had like $200 in my pocket, which people used to be like, I had a quarter in my pocket, but now they have a fucking house.
yeah
$200 in your pocket is like, you idiot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I was living in my friend's basement. That's why I moved there. I just knew I got laid off from my job. It was like a library job, but it wasn't like a librarian. It was a
yeah
really good job. It wasn't me. I don't think it was the organization, and that's when I was like, I guess I'll go back to the U.S. This mask is like, but yeah, and I had no money, and like my friend wasn't charging me rent, but it's like you gotta eat, or
yeah.
you need like
It was a means of survival.
yeah, cause what it was I was actually renting. One of my old homies, she hit me up from Cali. She's like, I'm in town. Her sister lived in Portland. You know how people move all up and down the coast and shit.
Yeah.
And when I was coming home from that little dinner, which was like, oh, by the way, my other dog I had a dog. He had just, in my divorce, I kept one dog and that dog died. That was actually like a big, because imagine you move to a basement, you get divorced,
Your dog dies.
you move to a basement, your dog dies, you're at that point 20 something year old white woman moving to Portland. You're past your Portland prime. What is the no, past Portland's prime. Like I was not excited to move to Portland.
You're just like
Like I was just so I was like
you're like I got to do what I got to do.
voodoo donuts. Like what the fuck? Like why do
You had to do what you had to do.
But it was the reason I started is cuz I didn't know my friend lived literally around the corner from 82nd Street,
And
which
your
is the equivalent of Aurora. Aurora.
and was your
Aurora.
friend also a sex worker?
Oh no. To this day I have this like worry that she like no like she never responded to my last Instagram message. I'm like,
That
sorry, I
sucks.
might have sorry, I might have brought I did because I did bring a prostitute to my room one time. Not to like fuck.
Just to hang out.
It's my heart of gold.
I
I
get it.
just love people. It's like I met this big titty prostitute and like her pimp had left her, so according to her, she's like, I don't have anywhere to go, like, and she was tweaking
And how was the money
the money.
like in the U.S.? Because
How is it?
yeah, at least when you were doing sex work in Portland at the time, were you making good money?
It's so variable. I mean, I can't speak for other people because they might hear
Were
me
were
and
you making good money?
no. Well, I've never been a high volume sex worker.
Okay.
I like it's like the first guy who pulled up on me. He was like $70 for a BJ. And I have to also emphasize that like I give BJs with a
With a condom on,
condom.
yeah.
Yeah,
Safe sex is the best
which
sex.
most girls don't. Most women don't.
Most sex workers.
No, most sex workers do.
Oh,
Most non-sex workers don't.
yeah, absolutely. I can attest to that.
Mhm.
Um,
Whose
it-
mouth is dirtier?
no comment.
No condom.
Yeah, but when you were doing sex work in Portland, were you working by yourself or were you?
Yes.
And
Yeah, solo dolo. I got my headphones. I got my uh, yeah, I was by myself.
have you ever worked for a pimp or with a pimp?
No.
No.
Not I've had guys like who I was seeing or around who try to capitalize off what I already got going on,
Okay,
if you want to call that a pimp.
but yeah, okay.
But what is a pimp? Like what would you I mean, I'm talking about like how would
Was
you
there
think of
a man?
hmm,
Okay, so after providing your services, right? After having sex with a chick, right? Would you take that money?
I'm taking a sip of my drink.
It's all good.
Would I take the money on what?
That you made
Uh-huh.
and then give it to a
Oh,
man.
okay. Uh, well, can I ask you a question?
Please.
So let's like bring it to Aurora, because you can see how. Can I
Yeah.
tell you how I end up down there?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay,
Please.
because I know I'm meander, and you're like, you're actually. Here's the thing, like when I live, and this is speaking to earlier too. I know I can be like very haphazard in my convo, but what was really alienating to me, we were talking about all how now there's all these empowering. I mean, not that I think it's good. Like it's good to have community in sex work and stuff, but when I didn't, I was just like, I mean, it is weird. Like I said, I never thought I'd do that, and then once I did, I'm like, who do I talk to about this? And I had a. That's where my like. I think I like it happened organically on my end, right? But it was like, how do I catch up the people in my life?
Yeah.
So basically by the time I moved up to Seattle, I was like, damn. Well, I never actually worked on Aurora until I moved right near it.
Okay.
But I turned tricks in Seattle before that, like at the sex shops
Okay.
on First Avenue. You know, Showgirls next door. That thing.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to take Tinder dates there too when I used to live at the YWCA,
Yeah.
and you couldn't have men over, of course. I mean, of course. I don't mean like of course, but like naturally,
Yeah.
it's a safe space for women.
Yeah.
So
It's like like if you're at the YWCA, you're probably at your most vulnerable point.
yeah, I think anyone who's in transitional housing or unhoused, homeless, however you want to call it, is at least one of their most vulnerable points
Yeah,
for
they're in a
sure.
rough spot. Like you
Yeah,
don't want to add anything that could
yeah.
complicate that situation.
So yeah,
So you're out here on Aurora
yeah.
now.
Yeah, not every day.
I didn't say that.
That's cool. I mean, you don't know. You don't
Yeah,
know
I
anything
don't.
about it. You're
Yeah,
not straight.
yeah. I'm
I
out.
never seen you out there.
Femi doesn't pay for sex.
No, his dick is a commodity, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Understandably.
it's my dick. I'm
Hey,
handsome. I'm tall.
you got a good jawline, hella
Yeah,
hair and shit.
I pay my bills on time. I'm a fucking catch.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh my god. You're gonna show this to future women to be like, like, look at this shit that I've been subjected to. I need a wife.
Nah.
You trying to like contract?
I
I don't know.
I don't believe in the institution of
Do you
marriage.
have any questions about tricks? Because I
Yeah.
feel like
How,
that. I feel like
how are the tricks like? Tell me what
maybe
every.
we can always do a writing Q&A for another episode. If
Yeah.
people, yeah. What's your question about tricks? Because I have, and I'm diplomatic too.
Yeah.
I don't hate like For the record, I'm not a.
What's your average trick look like uh, on
Ooh.
Aurora?
I mean, look like physically. That's
Physically.
difficult. I mean, it's a range. You
Okay.
get like.
If you see it, what kind of car? What kind of car? What kind of car would a trick drive by? You're like, yeah,
Oh, okay.
he got money.
Okay.
He want to fuck.
If you if you told,
What's the Nissan Altima
if
of
you
of tricks? Right? What's the crash out car for cuckolds?
that was unnecessarily alliterative. Okay. I I have actually vehicular blindness. Like I don't know cars. I don't know. To the point where like I get like the bad date. Like I get like updates from other sex workers through this one channel. It'll be like he's driving like
A 1983 Nissan Sentra.
fuck. I have no idea.
He's like,
No, the other day this woman was like, "Watch out for a red Dodge Caravan." Or maybe it was blue.
that's. I'm not gonna lie. If I saw a red Dodge Caravan driving down Aurora, I'm like, that's a man who pays for sex. That's a guy who has no charisma or social skills
But
necessary to attract the opposite sex.
I do have to say, like, talking about talking about the possibility of sex work being legal, like I have to say, like there are. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it.
Oh,
There's monsters out there. We
yeah.
can talk about that. But there's some pretty kind tricks. I mean, I think just like I never fancied myself to be a prostitute. I don't think they fancy
So
themselves
to
to
be
be
a
a
trick,
trick. They were just the arco and they saw my little ass, my little autistic ass sticking to
dog.
my headphones. I don't know. They
There's
were
there's
a
only so
little
many
jiggle jiggle.
there's only so many times you can rub one out. There's only like it's like they reached their number, and they were like, dog, if
True.
I do not fuck a woman,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill myself.
I almost feel like it's like there's a level of like it's like a mechanical thing, but even like on that level, it can be that without being like debased or dehumanizing. Like
Oh
it's like a mutual, if that makes
yeah.
sense. I achieve that with certain people.
What about this?
Yeah.
Two questions. What's your best story with a trick?
Best.
What's
Okay.
your worst story with a trick? And your worst story doesn't have to be like some dramatic fucking John that tried to kill you. He could just like smell like Tim's potato chips,
Absolute. No,
and you
that.
can be like,
Okay.
this guy's fucking weird.
Yeah. And then when you say best,
Like worst, like like the best and the worst.
okay, It's funny because I actually value like the tricks who like we like we vibe personally and shit.
Yeah,
But I'll say the best trick, like financially, which has been my downfall as as a whore, is I'm like so not a capitalist and I'm so like tired. So I'm never like optimizing my potential, you know? Like even on the streets, like I'm just like I'm gonna go to bed now.
it's like yo, we're good. I don't take gratuities.
Or I end up
Appreciate you.
spending like 78 minutes talking to like just crackheads, like literal crackheads. And I mean that when I say crackhead, I will never call somebody a crackhead unless they smoke crack or
Yeah, hey, crackheads are the truth, man. Like
they are.
I've bought in Jordans off crackheads. I know people that have bought in guns off crackheads.
Shit, I
Shit, I bought a bike off a crackhead in the street one
I
time.
had a crackhead give me cases for my glasses the other day. It
I
was
gave
like so copacetic and they always have like the exact thing you need at the exact right time.
he
Like
had like construction pants, like construction
hair.
jeans, and I know it because it had the hammer loop. You know what I mean? You can just throw the hammer in there.
Yes.
He tried to sell me some construction Jordans. You know what I mean? Like not 1 through 13. It was like number 36. I was like, dog, I don't want your fucking construction worker Jordans.
I
I'll take
know.
the bike. And I gave him 220s. And hey man, I love that crackhead, bro.
You
He was a cool
know,
motherfucker.
I
What's the worst story?
oh man. Um I will say that I got in a I can maybe tell you even a few. Like I'll be like, here's one I can think of. The other day I got in a car with this guy. So there's like multiple types of guys. And it's kind I'm not I don't know how to break it up really, but like I'll say this: there's like the guys who are coming off work.
Hmm.
There's the guy, and
Let me
sometimes.
see how we're doing on time, real quick.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Oh, we're good.
We're good.
Yeah, we got a good amount of time.
Yeah,
Okay, let's keep on going.
and anytime you want to do this is cool.
Hell yeah.
Um, I forget.
There's like dudes coming off of work,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
guys with shark eyes.
Oh well, I will say this because I know at the end of the day, like I mean, basically, like you asked earlier, like I I work. If you see me out there, it's because I'm in between work.
Yeah.
Like I mean, even when I had a job, I didn't make enough money to like pay off my credit card debt and shit.
Yeah.
So I was down there. But now it's like, but that's what scares me is my unemployment runs. This isn't like a poverty like. So donate to my GoFundMe. But my unemployment runs out next week, so that's gonna be my only source of income. And I got unemployment because you asked me before, did I ever have a pimp? I'd never had a pimp, but I had a man. When you do sex work, um, depending who you're around, it's like it's not someone who might have ever been a pimp, but maybe they know they grew up around people who did, or they're opportunists.
Yeah.
And
They just take advantage of a situation.
yeah, of course. Because if I'm like, well, I'm gonna be down there, and then they're like, well, give it to me, and I'm like, okay, but yeah, it got kind of crazy here because
So like, how are the pimps like in Aurora? Cause like,
oh well, you ask me,
yeah, cause
you should ask a woman with the pimp.
oh, okay. Let me rephrase that situation, or that question in particular. From a sex worker's point of view who doesn't have a pimp,
Yeah,
how do you perceive
yeah.
pimps?
Okay,
Like, do you see like
yeah.
a white guy with cornrows and you're like, oh, that guy means
Are you
trouble?
talking about the dude from that documentary and shit?
Do they actually have a white guy with cornrows on
Are you
Aurora?
fucking kidding? Did he look like James Franco, bro?
Are you serious?
I'll send, bro.
Dude, this
He's
is
like, we pimping out. Are
it's
you
Seattle. It's
serious?
Seattle. It's just like
Bro, he looks
there's
like
there's
fucking.
enough white people out here,
I'm
statistically
shocked you didn't
speaking,
see that, bro.
to be like, there has to be a white one. There has to be a white pimp integrating.
If that motherfucker like rolled up on me, I'd be like, get. Bro, I be yelling at people. I got in a fight. I yelled at this motherfucker the other day. I said, that's why you ain't got no chin, bitch.
Dude, like,
Because he ran up to me and said, $10 full service. People will go up to sex workers and be like, "What would your mother think? What would your mother think? What would your?" At least we're making money for whatever our circumstance, women or men, whoever.
you got to do what you got to do to survive.
Imagine you knew a man, okay,
Yeah.
any man, and then you find out in his free time, or maybe not even his free time, maybe when he should be doing it, he trolls sex work.
What a bitch.
I mean,
Yeah.
what's more shameful, that or selling ass on Aurora?
For me,
What's
as a
more
man,
productive?
I
mean,
it's like if I met a
as
dude
yeah.
and he was like, "Dog, you know what I do
He's
on
like,
Thursdays on my day off? I just go to Aurora and I just walk up to sex workers.
I just remind them that they're shit.
I walked up to this lady. Her name was Christina, and I was like, "What's up, saggy titties?
Hey, you piece of shit! Did you?
Why don't you die?" Like, no.
I hope you.
I'd be like, "Go kill
I
yourself.
wish the worst for you.
Like, go
Yeah,
kill
it's
yourself."
such a bizarre, but I have to say, like,
I think they
yeah.
just do that because they're incapable of like socializing with women, and this is the only way they can do
That's a
it
nice way of
by
putting
like
it. I mean,
by
yeah.
demeaning them and treating them like
Yeah.
garbage, which is fucking whack.
I recently got I follow a Instagram account, or they actually bring me resources and stuff. They're like harm reduction. They're like former sex workers or current sex workers who bring like snacks, self defense.
That's the Green Light Project you were talking about.
Green Light Project.
Yeah.
They yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's okay. Yeah, I get condoms and shit. They bring like they bring self defense items, food, coffee.
Yeah,
what
doing
have
God's
you,
work.
doing God's work, and they be out there like. I swear to God, though, we be sharing information because. Yeah, go ahead. It's like so weird because I never really talked about all this. That's why if I'm like,
it's like, how are the relationships that you've seen between like a pimp and their sex workers on Aurora? Is it a positive relationship? Is it a negative one? Are these men letting these women operate freely, or are they subjugating them?
ooh.
You know what I mean? Does the process genuinely seem exploitative?
Well, I certainly cannot speak on like any.
Yeah, you can't.
Like, I can't even, and it's not even about like whether I can or can't. I haven't even really seen that dynamic. I will say one time, because I have like, I'm a little.
Yeah.
And like, I think I'm ADHD. I mean, I have a twin. He was diagnosed with all this shit. So I feel like it makes me more. How do I put it? I'm not trying to bring like neurodivergence into it, but I will say, like, for example, I got dropped off really far down the street one time. Actually, I hopped out of a guy's car because I said, "Why'd you pick me up?"
He said some crazy shit, didn't he?
Yeah. I thought he was gonna be like, I liked your little butt or your little boobs or whatever. He goes, because you didn't look like. First of all, his car smelled like gasoline.
My car smells like gasoline sometimes.
Why?
You know, you fill up the tank, you keep
When
the.
you burn a hooker. Now Femi has to learn how to edit.
I'm clipping that.
Hashtag femicide.
When you burn a hook, I'm clipping that. That's clippable.
You are not throwing away this episode. You better learn how to edit because you need it anyway.
Yeah.
I'll be your look. You can interview me. You can interview. Well, you gonna interview me in other times too. I swear. We're gonna do a project. It's cool.
Oh yeah. So,
Okay, oh shit! Clip that.
that was my face off that reaction. Clip it. But
I forget what I said. What did I say?
it's like because your car smells like burnt hookers. So I was like,
Oh yeah. I said, why you pick me up? He goes, cause I thought he was gonna, yeah, be like, you have a little, I like your little ass. He was like, cause you don't look like these other deplorable whores.
ooh,
I was like, those are my coworkers. I mean,
that's gross.
it was like very disturbing. And he was at a stop sign, so I got out. And the reason I bring this up is you asked about like pimps. I'm aware of the whole you can't be a renegade or at the end of the day, I mean
It's a lot of tennis shoe pimping out here in the free world.
there's a lot of belligerent pimping out here.
It's like it's the exact opposite of the Mac. You know how everybody
the cam? Yeah, because there's a camera everywhere.
they're just like they're not gentlemen. They're fucking gorilla pimps. It's disgusting. It's that's deplorable. Not the women. The gorilla pimps are deplorable. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
dog.
There's so many different like dynamics at play of like there's power dynamics. Like for example, can I say something?
Please.
So for example, when I go out there, I don't dress up. Like for the most part, there's been a few times where I'm like on one, I'll dress up, but usually I'm wearing like the same shit you'll see me wearing around town, which is pretty sexy by default. So like it makes sense out there. But like, I don't remember my point. It's just like I recognize that like there's people who are forced to wear that kind of like to wear sexier clothes, not necessarily forced or maybe compelled or pressured or they're in a situation where it makes sense for them to do that. Like, but for me, it makes sense to wear jeans and
Yeah, because it's cold
There's a
outside.
new law on Aurora and downtown on Third. Have you heard of it?
No, please enlighten me.
Oh, have you heard of the soap law?
What's the soap law?
Well, it wants to clean the streets. It's to stay out of areas of prostitution. From 85th to Shoreline. If you're trying to buy pussy, stay off the Aurora. You'll be
That's right.
penalized.
That's where the Chick-fil-A and the Sprouts is. Right?
And I heard they're closing the Burgermeister in Northgate. Is it Burgermeister or Burgermaster?
Burgermaster.
Fuck.
That's sad.
Well,
It is what it is.
you know. You
The-
can get a good burger from even the ones at Arca are pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's how I found, by the way. I don't know. All I'm going to say is there's definitely Jack Shack's $30 all service in Seattle. Not for me, though. No. I know. I'm not $30, but you can get 30% off if you use hashtag Femicide.
Great episode name. That's crazy. All right.
I feel like I didn't get to tell you everything, but
Um,
oh, you asked my worst experience.
worst experience.
Like when you say worst, just hone it in a little, cause
An experience where you just left it like this really fucking happened.
okay, there was this really. Okay, one of the biggest money I made in Aurora was $400 in an hour.
That's nuts.
You know, they say fast money isn't easy
No.
or not necessarily easy.
Yeah.
You know? And for me, I want to say like the reason I never wanted to do like the OnlyFans, like I said, the rigmarole, the fucking have to talk to these men. Oh yes, baby, here's a picture of me. You still have to do. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
So
just
so what
exhausting.
happened for that 400?
This man, he he was so stinky. Like I can't even explain it. I'm not a germaphobe, but I've never had a client where I was so like, I mean, how do I put it? I was like, he just had folds that were untended to. If that's, can I say that kindly?
Yeah, he was built like a walrus.
Well, I mean, I think the build is one part, but it's more about the upkeep. And it turned out he owned these fucking, and I don't even care. I wish I knew his name. I wish I remembered his name, but it's okay. I already called his fucking associates. This motherfucker, bro. He was so stanky. I was retching. I was retching. I think if he had been my first client, I never would have done sex work again. Wallah, it was disgusting. He was
That's
filthy.
nuts.
And he owns tanning salons around here. So be careful, women. And the night he jilted me, oh, jilted is that's not the right word. The night he fucking we saw each other one. I was wasted when I first met him. So the second time I saw him, he gave me $400, right? The second time he's like, you don't seem as passionate as the night.
Cause you smell like shit. What
Well,
the
I was
fuck?
like, I'm not on drugs and or yeah. And 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 the worst part is I was like, and this is when you ask, what's like the worst?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, but can you go like rinse off? And this is even with a condom. I needed him to rinse his dick. It was so fucking pungent and tangible and palpable and fucking unbearable. And he went into his haunted bathroom with these yellowed, brittle ass towels. And I didn't look at the rest. But all I can say is I got my money. And the next time he pulled up to meet me and he tried to take me back to his house. But I knew what was waiting with the towels and whatnot. So I said, no, we're going to do it here. He said, I don't want to. So I just said, you're not going to pay me? I started taking pictures of his car and shit. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, we made plans. You're disgusting.
Yeah, it was his
Like,
fault.
yeah, like, and he wasn't even gonna give me 400. It was like, give me 200, bitch. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, so
We've talked about the economics of sex work, and
they're so variable.
it,
I'm not an expert or an
but
economist.
I mean, you're economics, right? And
Yeah.
you're talking about how like you're essentially risking your life for like $200 at a time,
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Every time you get, I mean,
which is crazy. 'Cause-
yeah, it is crazy. That's why I have to drink to do it.
Ooh.
I mean, like straight up, even when I don't want to drink, there's been time. I mean, I'm not even trying to be like, what was me? But like, and it is crazy to feel myself slip. Because on the one hand, like we were talking about like an hour ago or
Mhm.
whatever, like I am grateful that I now have like a valid, like even people I knew, like I promise, even like people who love me very much know about, what I've done or what I'm doing
Mhm.
and like, I kind of forget what you're talking about, but
You're $200 at like it's like
it becomes this like cycle where like yeah, you'd be like, oh, you have a master's degree, like what the fuck? And it's like, but when you have like I got into debt during COVID, not like a lot, like
but
but
like
like
enough.
enough that we're like it was fine when I had my job, but then when I like was leaving this whole situation, I was gonna move, and then I will say I have only lived near Aurora for like that was definitely triggering for me because once I lived near Aurora, I'd be like, I need to go get a cheeseburger, and then like a guy would just pull up and be like, hey, can you suck my dick? And I'm like, fuck, I have no money.
And then you're like, I need to eat,
Yeah,
I need to pay my rent,
yeah, and
I
then
got
it's
credit
just
card bills, and then you're like $200, $200
yes. and
For
sometimes more, sometimes less, but it becomes like, well, yeah, fuck, of course, yeah, you could be like, well, you have a master's degree or this that, the
yeah,
other thing. And it's like, yeah, but and I didn't necessarily like plan this out, but like as it so fucking happens, like I'm not even trying to be like, it's just it becomes even without drugs, and I'm not gonna say like, oh, I'm not. I mean, like, you had to be fucked up to be out there. I'm not. First of all, let me say this: there are insane drugs out there. Like, people offer me fentanyl every time I'm out there.
that's crazy.
They'll even be like, "Here," and I'm like,
No,
"What
thank
is
you.
that?" And they'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you thought it was crack. No, it's fentanyl." Like, crack is like the new you know, Bud Light. Yeah, it's dark out there.
Do you see a lot of like is violence prevalent on Aurora? Whether it be like physical or like sexual.
I think violence is prevalent everywhere. I think that in places like that, it can be more either not seen in the first place. Well, because think about it, like one violent incident, right?
Yeah,
Like
because like
you don't, the world doesn't know
no.
about, like, let's say, and I don't mean to make it about me, but I guess since it's like the 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 one guy who beat me up in my life, like the that's what's like.
Was it a John?
It was opportunistic. It's a long story, but
We can talk about.
he was like a monster. Like
It.
it was like this. It was like a silly. Maybe edit that part, but yeah, I that guy scares me actually.
Then we won't talk about him.
Let's not talk
Cool.
about that. I will say, yeah, though, like pimps, like maybe we should do an episode. You gotta figure out editing for me.
Yeah, we can't drop names. You know what? We're gonna wrap this episode up. I'm gonna figure out how to edit this. If I can't edit, I just won't drop the episode. Episode one of the of Femi's podcast. We have no names. Femicide. That's the name.
I mean, Femicide.
I didn't name it Femicide. She did.
Hey, it's horror approved. And use use code Femi for 20% off on Aurora.
Or the fleshlight.
Is it shaped like my vagina?
I don't know. Peace.